So, should we buy or sell Novavax? First off, read this disclaimer carefully and do your good deed of the day by liking and subscribing. This is the website of Novavax.com, a new era of vaccines. The Novavax C19 vaccine adjuvanted is now available in the US under blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, so pretty clear where they have put their focus: 2 billion doses per year, 10 plus years of nanoparticle vaccine development. So let's look a bit at their pipeline. Our pipeline is it like a one-trick pony on the C19? Yeah, okay. So 2 on that one. Then you have seasonal influenza, respiratory syncytial virus, Middle East respiratory syndrome. Yeah, so it seems to be, and you do also have some exposure here to parasitic diseases. This stock can be found in this theme called pandemics. So yes, Novavax is in the infectious diseases, more specific subcategory. 29% from the 52-week low, 89% away from the highs. So during the C19 pandemic, we saw a very, very, very big rally in the stock. In this case, it certainly has seen a pullback, but we have now pulled back below a lot of historical levels. We are testing a low here from February 2009. So we are at a historically very interesting level. And we see that there is some seasonality here with this stock. So how reliable is the seasonality? So back here you had very reliable seasonality. It has shifted, but buying low and selling high has worked out very well in the past. From the current level, if we were to make a new all-time high, that would be 2,800% gain, which would be a lot of fun. So even a more modest rally just to go up. Okay, to be a bit accurate, let's really nail the level. To just go up here would be 597%. So it's at a very low interesting level. Looking at the dailies, I mean, I wish I saw a bit more strength around the technicals vis-a-vis the moving averages. It's very like lethargic here. Let's look. Yes, looking at RSI and the PPOs, we are not at screaming buy levels now, but at low levels that have been bought numerous times in the past. Looking at the daily data points, we have seen some rally from the low. It's now weakening again. Potential sell signal here on the MACD if we see more weakness. So in this case, I will write horizontal support. I will give the bulls, I think I will give them a 5. And this is a very interesting level, but it's one of those levels where if we were to lose such a big deal horizontal support level, then the losses could come very quick and big. So let's look here at the seasonality. So to the left here, we do see that going from late January into March usually is a period of overall a good seasonality. Going here to the right, 12% so far for January, which it's a high level, but you see that some of the previous Januaries here, 2021, 2020, 2018, 2015, 2012, you can have some pretty strong Januaries. If you look here at February, which is the month around the corner, it's very either or. Either you do get a big gain or a big loss. It's a very volatile stock. In this case, I do think I will give the bulls a 3 on the seasonality. It is very messy, but overall a 3. So here is some fundamentals. So looking here at price book, price to sales, so we are at a low level. Looking at price earnings, so we are higher. These kinds of metrics for these biotech stocks, they're more difficult to for the fundamental analysts to put a value on, simply because one approval or disapproval of some medicine can have such a substantial effect on the valuation of the company. But this is the data we have. Looking at the forecasts, they are very bullish. The average price target from the 5 analysts covering the stock is 440% to the upside. The minimum is 15% and the highest is 874. Most analysts have a buy rating, strong buy, that is. And here we have some additional data. So overall, the analysts definitively think that it is undervalued. So I will give the bulls a 7 on the fundamentals. So let's look at relative performance. NVAX is the ticker, like that. So looking at it against the S&P 500, we have 46% positive. Against the germ, we didn't get anything. This is the infectious diseases ETF. And against ARC-G, which is the genomics ETF, we have 87% positive long-term. Daily data points, 24% with the S&P 500, 58% with the infectious diseases ETF, and then actually higher with ARC-G, the genomics ETF. So what happens with ARC-G is going to have the biggest effect on Novavax. So here is ARC-G, also emerging here from a horizontal support level. A rally is in development here for ARC-G. On the dailies, we are peaking a bit above the 200 daily moving average in red. Looking at RSI, there could actually be a bit more left in this rally. So that's, so yeah, interesting. The seasonality is a bit messy. There's been a shift. 19% so far for January. So definitively the best January so far. So maybe expectations for February could be a bit reduced. Here is the relationship between Novavax and the ARC Genomics ETF. The underperformance now has reached a critical support level. You can see here on RSI, more often than not, we did not see this substantial underperformance from Novavax. On the dailies, this is a pretty interesting level. Looking at the seasonality here, Novavax usually has a tendency to outperform ARC-G into at least mid-February, underperformed by 7% for January. So given that the primary ETF is emerging from a low, on top of it, Novavax has a bit of a tendency to begin to outperform ARC-G from these depressed levels. This is a very interesting bullish opportunity for Novavax. So 5.3 here to the bulls. We are at horizontal support. And so the things are overall pretty bullish. But there's a big but. When you are at the horizontal support level, if you were to lose it, that is really, really bad. So this is truly a make or break situation here for the bulls. So let's look at the top components of the ARC-G ETF. Exact, like this. Exact Sciences is on the top. Yeah, or we have seen a bit of a big rally here. Let's look at the dailies. Let's see. Very high though, RSI and PPO. Dailies. Ooh, really, really overbought. Yeah, so Exact Sciences could do a bit of a pullback. Let's look at the seasonality. Very flipped. 35% almost for the month, which is a very, very good month. But yeah, maybe future expectations should be reduced. So let's look a bit here at the fundamentals. I mean, we have been even more overbought recently, but yeah, let's continue down the list. Classic biosciences. In this case, we see more of a reasonable rally. We go up and then we pull back, up and pull back. So this is more sustainable rally. Looking at the dailies, so where are we pulling back from? So we are pulling back from a level where we previously have been a bit overbought. We also can see that there's a pattern here. So double top, we go down, double top here, and there's the potentiality of that pattern reoccurring, because those who were part of this rally or see this chart, they will definitively start to look back and be like, maybe consider some short positions, temporary, especially given the cyclical nature here of this one. Let's look at the time cycles to see how reliable they are. They do differ though in duration, it seems, yeah. The seasonality is 39% for January, which is one of the best months, one of the best Januaries. So looking at the seasonality tool here to the left, expected weakness into March. Let's have a bit of a look here at the analysts' price targets. The forecasts average 3% upside for this stock, which is not really that much. Let's look at EONIS pharmaceuticals, the next one on the list. Very messy chart. Let's look at the dailies. We are below the 200 daily moving average with some kind of support from the 20-day moving average. But this chart was a bit noisy. Yeah, a lot of noise here. Here, the X is the next one. Yeah, this one is interesting. It's emerging from this horizontal support level. We do have a bit of a rally in development. Peaking above the purple 20-week moving average, which previously was a resistance level on the dailies. We are fighting the blue 100-day moving average, and we have successfully peaked a bit above it. Seasonality, a very strong January here as well. But could be a bit to do a pullback. The forecast, you do actually have an 85% upside price target here. So let's look at these other fundamentals. Price book is still pretty low, price to sales as well. And earnings are coming out on the 23rd of February. So yeah, we have looked at Novavax, and we looked at the ETF. It had the strongest statistical correlation with the ARC genomics ETF. So overall, things are looking bullish for Novavax. We also had a bit of a peek at the ETFs within the genomics ETF. A bit of a mixed bag. Some of these were very much due a pullback, and others were, in the process of emerging from a very depressed valuation. But of all these, definitively the valuation for Novavax vis-a-vis the price targets was very, very good. Yeah, and in the market, it's all about buying low and selling high, and historically that's worked out pretty well for this stock. And especially when you take into account the current share price of Novavax, you can easily put on a bit of a gamble on the stock because it's very easy to enter. But yeah, interesting times when it comes to having a stop level for these horizontal support trades. I usually go a bit wider, but when I go a bit wider, then I will categorize the trade as more of a gamble because And move can happen quickly. So let's look here. So if we were to explore the lows of last year, well, late last year, that would all of a sudden be like a 19-ish% downside move.